to the Emo Hour, your weekly power hour of all things emo and adjacent, with your hosts, Katie and Nani.
Hello and welcome to the Emo Hour. I am your host, Nani, with my friend Katie.
Hi.
And we're so excited. This is episode 4 for us. Katie, any thoughts here?
You know, it's a Monday and we're here.
We had a very long weekend, and we're gonna get into all of the happenings of this weekend on today's podcast. But yeah, I think we're both probably feeling just a little tired from the weekend because it was jam packed and it was so much fun. But yeah, we did a lot.
Yeah. Well, and last week I was still kind of feeling under the weather, and so I don't think I've helped myself out very much with, recovering from a cold, being busy and doing all kinds of things.
That's my job. I'm the one who burns the candle at both ends, not you, man.
Well, you do it more, but we both do it, I would argue.
Yeah, you know what? You're so right. We both do burn the candle at both ends. But how do you say no? There's just too much fun stuff that I can't say no to it.
Yeah, well, you definitely live a much more rich social life than I do. And I would say that's probably always been the case, but it's especially true because, I have a 2-year-old daughter. So
I'm single.
I'm staying home a bit more than you are.
Yeah.
But being a parent to a 2-year-old is not like chilling at home.
No, not at all.
It's effort all the time. So we do both burn the candle at both ends, just
in different ways.
A little bit of a variety in there.
In different ways. So, Katie, what's making you emo this week?
So it is mid-November and we had our first snowfall that is like sticking around. So that's what's making me feel emo. We live in a mountain town. We live in Sun Valley, Idaho. So winter and winter sports and all things winter is very much a major component of living here. And that's great. And some people get very excited when it snows. And I am usually kind of excited, but the snowfall is making me emo because of a couple things. I feel positive about it and I feel negative about it. We did get my daughter her first pair of real skis yesterday.
I saw that. That was so cute.
It was so cute.
And the helmet is so big on her.
Oh,
in that picture. I know that wasn't her real helmet, but it was like an adult size helmet on a little 2-year-old. It was the cutest picture.
Yeah, she just wanted to put that on. So she put it on. But we did take her skiing last year a handful of times. We just bought these little cheap plastic strap-on skis that strapped on to her little snow boots. Mm-hmm. And this year we did real skis with boots and bindings. Yeah. Because we think she's actually going to be able to do some stuff herself. So
are you raising the next Lindsey Vonn?
Maybe.
Did you see Lindsey Vonn join the ski team, the U.S. ski team again? She's back.
Oh, I did. Yeah,
That's did. Cool.
Came out of retirement, right?
Yeah.
So that's huge news. So that's my what's making me emo is a little bit long, but that's the positive of it, the negative of it, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I could spend an hour talking about it, but is our condos have been doing a siding project that was supposed to be over 2 months ago, and it has been the bane of our existence, and it's just been constant problems, and the snow just is not encouraging to that being completed before we get a big winter storm.
Yeah, so, I was going to say, and the snowfall does not help. It only compounds the frustration at this point. I've been along for this journey, so I am well versed in your emo-ness around siding project, and I'm emo for you, but that's not why I'm emo this week. But yeah, I am sorry that that's still going on, because that is, I think a lot of millennials probably, I should say the fortunate millennials who have been able to, purchase something that they own. And it's not all of us. I don't own anything. I rent. I'm a renter. You own. Again,
you
two
own
very different
things.
I own things, but I don't own I don't own a house, and
you don't own real estate, right?
Yeah, and one day I will, but just not yet. It hasn't been the right move for me yet. But Yeah, I think it's like a very real thing that a lot of millennials are going through, whether it's like, you buy a house, but you have to buy a house because it's a fixer upper. And like millennials were just like in a different financial spot than a lot of other generations. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people relate to it because it's definitely it's an interesting thing because the deeper you dive into it, the more you realize that like you're not alone, regardless of where you're at financially speaking. But yeah, it's a tangled web, I tell you.
Sure is.
Exciting.
So what's making you emo this week, Nani?
Oh my gosh. I feel like so many things, but really the thing that I have landed on that I wanted to share with you and with the listeners is Sam Fender, one of my
Ooh.
favorite artists in the last handful of years. Maybe longer than handful of years because I don't remember when I tried to go see him in Italy. But anyways, it's been a long journey for me, and I'm going to share this with people because it's a frustrating journey for me. It's frustrating like you're citing, but it's
Right.
a very different kind of frustrating, and I realize it's a privileged type of frustration. So, Sam Fender, huge artist out of the UK. He kind of sounds like the UK's answer to Bruce Springsteen. He's super. I just love him. He's the best. If you want to listen to a really good song, Leveler or like Hypersonic Missiles, some of his older stuff gets a little harder, a little grungier, but lyrically he's super complex and like very thoughtful, and musically it more leans toward like Bruce Springsteen, John Mayer, not so much like alternative rock, but lyrically he says some heavy stuff. And I he's huge in the UK, so he'll play to like
Mhm.
stadiums, 20,000 people. And he had an American tour that I bought tickets to both Seattle and Portland.
Yeah, because they were like
And
back-to-back dates, right?
back to
Or a
back
day
dates because
apart or something.
I'm going to
Yeah.
be a total weirdo and like go back to my high school days and just I decided I'm doing all this. Like I can't say no. How he's not in the States very often, mostly because I think they've probably been focusing their efforts overseas. But I buy those tickets and he cancels the tour because of mental health, which I totally
Mhm.
understand, but I definitely will say that I'm still frustrated. I was very frustrated at the point
And I
at the
forget,
time.
did you still go to Seattle and Portland, or did you just cancel your whole trip?
I canceled everything.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought
which
so.
sucks because like when that stuff happens, which we all understand, when it happens, like you have hotels booked or flights booked or whatever, and like sometimes you can get out of it, but a lot of times you can't. So
Mhm.
that was hard. So then fast forward, I don't know, maybe a year ish. I think you remember the timeline, I think. But,
Ish. Yeah.
yeah, so fast forward, I'm going to Europe to go see a friend. I was going on a solo trip to Europe because I love traveling solo and just kind of doing whatever. And so one of my buddies from New York was going to be in Italy and London. And then I wanted to visit my friend from here, Antonia in Paris.
Mhm.
And so I'm looking and I realize, oh my gosh, Sam Fender is going to be in Milan. And the travel time from London and or Paris to Milan, it's not very long. So it's like flying from here to Denver for us, right? And so I'm like, this is my chance. I like so excited. So I buy tickets. I buy secondhand tickets on like StubHub because it was already sold out. Remind you, like he plays huge arenas in the UK, and in Milan he was playing a club for like 2,000. So there was a ton of people from the UK that did exactly what I did. They bought tickets to go to Milan, have a vacation in Italy, and also see one of their favorite artists in a small venue. So I rearranged my entire European trip to go see him in Milan. I think you probably
Right.
know where this is going. And
Well,
I get
I
to,
definitely do.
you definitely do. So I get to Milan and having a great time. It's a city, like it's a metropolitan city. I had been there before, and I wasn't necessarily excited to go back there because there's other places in Italy I'd rather go to, but I had a purpose, and so I went and had a little aperitivo before the show, and like just snacks and some wine, obviously an Aperol spritz, and I'm sitting there and I'm speaking like broken Italian and kind of broken English, whatever, with the waitress at the place that I was at, and she was asking what I was doing because I was by myself at the table, and she was super nice. And I told her I was going to this show at this venue, and she said, "Oh, that sounds like so much fun." And she went and looked it up, and just to like see who it was, which I thought
Yeah.
was so cute. And she looked it up, and I hadn't seen it. And the show, by the way, was starting in like 30 minutes. I was
Right.
just about to pay my bill. I was just
And
about
like
to go,
walk there or like hop
literally.
on whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to take an Uber over there, and I uh I like give her my card to pay, and she brings her phone over and shows me. She's like, canceled, or like, points at her
Yeah.
phone, and there's like this big announcement. Ugh, I was so frustrated. And so I'm in Milan, and he cancels his show again.
So
And
0 for 3.
0 for 3. At this point, I'm 0 for 3, which is so
Yeah.
frustrating. And there's, riots across Milan. I'm exaggerating, but all of these UK fans, they ended up getting hammered like everywhere,
Right.
just like partying and being like, whoa, we came all this way for, Sam. And again, it sucks. It totally sucks. I think he might have like an autoimmune or something, but I
Well,
do
do you
also
know, like you found out that it was canceled like 30 minutes before, but do you know when it was actually posted?
not
It was a short time frame.
like a few minutes before that. It was
Okay.
the shortest notice. It was really frustrating. I mean, it's not as
Yeah.
bad as like Morgan Wallen canceling when everybody's inside of the like, remember when he, like, it wasn't that bad, but it was
Yeah.
so frustrating. And so I ended up going out on the town, drinking a little bit too much, meeting some random people, and
Doing some retail therapy.
yes, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I did
Got
some
a FaceTime from you buying some designer sunglasses.
That's my thing. I love sunglasses. And then, just I still had a really great time, but it was so frustrating because I even bought my hotel to be right next to the venue. So like I didn't
Right.
have to think, and I flew in and out of like a different airport, so I didn't have to think. Anyways, so the reason I'm emo, this is the longest story, sorry,
That's okay. We
is
both had long ones.
that Sam Fender announced a new record, which I'm very excited about. The new single was released last Friday. And the most exciting thing is that he announced an American tour. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way. It's going to all be East Coast. It's going to be New York and, Florida and stuff like that. No, it's Seattle. It's Portland. It's Salt Lake City.
Yay.
Which is so exciting to me. But do I even want to buy tickets? Because is he going to cancel on me is my question.
Yeah, that's a tough call, but I know you're going to.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I think I'm going to buy tickets. I decided I'm going to go to the Seattle show because it's on also whoever booked it, fine. But I think they probably decided to book things last minute because they just got the worst dates. Like it's Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and there's no weekend dates at all practically. So I don't know what's going on there. But I figured I'd go to Seattle, have a weekend there, and then see the show on Monday, and then and then if it's really good, I'll maybe go to Salt Lake City too.
Right. I mean, the build up for the show, though, like for
so hope
you personally, like I feel like you're gonna have high expectations because
Which sucks because what if it's not as good as what if it's not as good? What if he's one of those performers that is just like amazing on record and then it just doesn't translate the same way? I can't imagine that would be the case. But
right.
you never know.
You never know.
So that's what's making me emo. I'm excited because there's new music from him, and gosh, that should be my lyric of the day. I had a totally different lyric. It's not emo music though, so maybe that's not right.
I mean,
We're emo adjacent also.
yeah, it could be. There can be emo lyrics and non-emo songs for sure.
That's true.
Well, so
yeah.
the tour's in the springtime, right? So you've got some time before it'll happen, but
Yeah.
I'm sure. Are tickets even for sale yet?
Pre-sale starts tomorrow. You better believe it. I'm going to buy those tickets.
All right, there you
Yeah.
go.
Because I don't know anybody in his camp either, so that makes it a little harder for me too. Because, I can't. If it sells out, I can't call in a favor.
Well, I hope that it works out this time.
Me too.
And I hope that it's amazing because, I do think the buildup for you personally is going to be just like, I think the expectations have to be high. The buildup is there for like the last 2 years or something, right? So
It's
I
build,
hope
like you
it all
said.
goes well, and I hope it's incredible. And maybe I'll be there with you. I don't know.
You might be there with me. We could go on a hot tub boat in Seattle.
Yeah, we could. We talked about that last week.
I love a hot tub boat. So,
Anyway,
Katie,
well,
what are we talking about this week? Because we had a pretty crazy weekend. Yeah, pretty long, crazy weekend.
yeah, well, the main topic of the day is our local community theater in Haley, Idaho. The Liberty Theater hosted a Battle of the Bands, which
Bands.
which was the I don't want to say first event of its kind locally because it sounds like there was similar events like almost 2 decades ago, but it's been the first event of its kind, in recent years. And a friend of mine, Sarah, was like the one that spearheaded it all, and
She's the producer of the show.
she's the producer of the show. And I don't know, a while ago, a month or two ago, she had reached out to me and asked about being a judge on the panel for Battle of the Bands.
Right.
And
Like we
got
come
involved.
as a duo.
And then we got involved, yeah, and I was like, "Hey, how do you feel about, the emo hour girls being on the judges panel kind of as one unit?" And
Yeah.
she was all about it. So
Yeah.
so we judged Battle of the Bands.
And it
on
was so
Saturday.
fun. Well, and for context, for folks who don't live here, the Liberty Theater is where it was held. You kind of called it a community theater. I think it's more than a community theater. It's been closed down. It's been closed down for some time, and some friends of ours bought the theater and have completely revitalized it and are bringing so much music back into the valley, which it's been a little bit of a drought, and it's cool that they're doing it and that they decided to do Battle of the Bands there because
Yeah.
it went off so well. Like it was
Oh my
an
gosh.
that is the best Battle of the Bands I have ever been to. And it was so well produced. It was like smooth. The sound was amazing. Like the production was fantastic. Just like all of the production values that you look for in something, they nailed it.
Yeah.
You could tell the dress rehearsals and people really like they took it seriously. Obviously, because there was a lot on the line. There was two winners. There was the judges winner and the audience winner, and the house was packed the theater was packed the entire day.
The entire 8 hours of the event.
Oh my God, that's right. Yeah. Well, I'll tell them what the prizes were. So one was a slot on the Sawtooth Valley Gathering, or Sawtooth Valley
Sawtooth Valley Gathering that happens in Stanley, third weekend of June every year. And this 2025 is the 10th year of the festival, so that's a pretty big deal too. That it's like year 10.
Yeah, it's a big festival up in northern Idaho, in like this really amazing small mountain town.
I wouldn't call that northern Idaho. I'd call that central.
Yeah, sorry, north of us.
North of us, central Idaho.
You know who would immediately say something? Your husband. He's like, "That's not North Idaho."
Nope, absolutely not.
And then the other was a recording session at Tonic Studios in Boise, which of those,
that was the award for the judges pick, which that was what us and the other panel of judges selected that winner.
Yeah. Which, and then on top of that, two nonprofits, every single band that was performing, they were performing on behalf of a nonprofit within the Wood River Valley. I believe you could also maybe choose outside of the Wood River Valley, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Heath Owens band chose outside of Wood River Valley because they're not in the Wood River Valley. They're based close by, but they're not here.
Yeah.
So they, I think, had a different foundation, but everybody else played for local nonprofits. So the two winners of the audience choice and the judge's choice got a donation to their nonprofit of choice of $1,000, which was awesome too.
Like, so epic.
Yeah. And then I didn't even know this until they were doing the awards, but other community businesses donated, smaller things that were kind of passed out to honorable mentions. So that was great to see too. So
yeah, like smaller prizes, but they were still like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it was great.
It was awesome. Like,
I mean, I agree. Let me just I was stoked. Like all day, like that night, I told you I couldn't really fall asleep after I got home, even though I was so exhausted. And then I woke up and just like all day Sunday, I was just like, that was such a cool experience. It really was. And it just like, it went so well. The amount of talent that was there was so impressive. The variety of performers that were there, like different types of music, it was just, it was so great. Like it felt really special, and it felt really special to be on the judges panel for it too. Like that's an experience that like I'm going to hold on to for a long time and like remember fondly forever.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, and like people are it's it's a vulnerable thing to step out on stage. Sometimes some of these performers were first time performers. Most of them like had done quite a bit of stuff, but you know, it was I just can't like it was so good. And I am such a critic, you know that. Like I am
Mhm.
such a critic when it comes to things, and it's hard for me sometimes to listen to, somebody who thinks they have the most amazing voice and they're just like flat or sharp as hell. And I like do my best to like not, you know, but it's I was blown away by the talent, and I was blown away by the production of just the whole day. Yeah, so Katie and I got there at 1 o'clock in
Mhm.
the afternoon, and we didn't leave
Did.
until 10. So it was all day. And the
Yes.
night before, we had had a little bit too much fun. And so it made it just a little harder for us as well. And specifically me. I'll speak on my own behalf. I don't know about you.
I mean, there were ups and downs throughout the day, but it went.
It went.
And like you said, there's worse places to be than when you're not feeling 100% than in like a dark theater watching live music. So,
It was
but then
that part was a gift for
but
sure.
then we had to judge it, and that meant we didn't have like hardly any downtime. I mean, the pacing of it went really well too, but we provided feedback after every single performance.
Yeah.
So,
And one of our fellow judges jokingly said, like, I think they were expecting Battle of the Bands, not like The Voice or America's Got Talent,
oh yeah,
which
America's
was
yeah.
totally what they got because well, that's what was asked of us is to give, both constructive and positive feedback, for every performer. And we took our job seriously because, it was a great panel of folks on the judges panel. Can I talk about just because I have the program in front of me?
Yeah, great. That's what I was going to say. We should talk about kind of just the flow of the day and who was on the judges panel with us.
Yeah, so it was James Fowler, who is the producer of the Sawtooth Valley Gathering, the festival we mentioned up in Stanley, Idaho, which I can't believe I haven't been to. Have you been to it?
No, but it's the same weekend as Highway 30 is, and that's a country music festival that I attend every year. So that's why I have not been.
If you haven't guessed yet, Katie is very much a alternative gal.
The alternative. Yep, that's me.
Alternative.
But I know people go to the Sawtooth Valley Gathering and love it. So, and it's such a beautiful setting. Stanley for anything is a great time, and it's such a beautiful setting for live music.
I know. I feel like we're don't go to Stanley. It sucks there. I
Yeah,
swear. It's the worst place ever. Don't go there.
yeah, it's
And then,
dumb.
yeah, it's awful. It's the worst. And then Mark Oliver, he is a local Wood River Valley native. When we say Wood River Valley, it's the valley that is comprised of Sun Valley and Ketchum and Haley and Bellevue. It's like our strip
Yeah.
mall of towns. But it's all, Sun Valley. But Mark, you know Mark well. You should say who he is.
Yeah, I don't know him well, but I mean, he's got some pretty deep roots here. He lives in Boise now. He ran the Hot Water Inn, which is at the base of Warm Springs, which is one of the sides of the mountain here.
The ski
And
mountain.
it was a hostel / music venue / they did like open mic nights, they did comedy nights, they did food here and there.
It's a
Like
culture. It was like a cultural hub for this
yeah.
area for music, entertainment, comedy, like you name it. They did. It was
Yeah,
so cool.
he did some really cool stuff, and I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he relocated to Boise, so he came to town for that, but he knew some of the
Every
performing
person.
acts so well, and like he knew the individuals that were performing, and he was, just making comments throughout the day about performers that were on stage that he was familiar with, or like how long it had been since he'd seen this band perform and things like that, which was really cool because you and I don't have the same type of familiarity that he did with any of the performers or acts, really. Like, we know some of them here and there, but it was clear that he knows the music community here in Blaine County well.
Yeah, I feel like the context that he provided was one that only he could provide. Like, he was the right decision to add to the panel because there was like history and understanding of, like you said, the music community here. He had a lot of really great things
He's
to
in a
add.
band called Sheep Bridge Jumpers as
I know.
well.
I want to see him.
Yeah, which I know they performed at the Hot Water a number of times, so I'm sure that I've seen them. I just couldn't tell you specifically, and it's been years since that would have happened.
Well, our loss is Boise's gain because he brought all of his talents to Boise, and I'm sure he's doing cool stuff there.
Right.
For sure. And then Molly Long was on the panel with us, and she also from Boise. Turns out we were the only locals on there.
Turns out.
I know. We didn't know that.
James, I think, I'm not sure if he lives here. He's got deep roots here, though, too.
Deep roots. Yeah, he's in Boise as well. So all three were in Boise. So Molly is a performer. She's in a couple bands. Let me just say, like, I was obsessed with her look. She like had such a look. It was
such a look.
That out, like, her dress was so cute. I can't even. But
her bands are Bet on Red, and do you have the other one in front of you?
Is it Groggy Bikini?
Yeah,
Groggy Bikini, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Bet on Red and Groggy Bikini. Yeah.
And that they
We Are You. Sorry. She's been in a few different bands. She's in a ska punk band, Bet on Red, and an alt rock punk band, We Are You.
Okay, great. Yeah, and the first time we saw her, and she was wearing that like black and white, very like classic looking dress, and like dark short hair with like some long side bangs, and I got excited and I was like, oh, I think she's emo or emo
she's one of us
at least. Yeah,
she's absolutely one of us. And
when of us.
when we found out that she's in a punk rock band, we're like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So that was awesome. There was like 3 women that are all like definitely into, rock and different forms of rock.
Right.
And then the 2 guys, I think, have a slightly different music taste. It seems a little more indie.
Yeah, a different palette for sure.
But all music lovers for sure.
Yeah, and she, Molly gave really great feedback as it relates to like songwriting and like her
technical things.
Yes, very technical musical stuff that like you and I can't necessarily speak to. A couple of the other, panelists had the ability to, but her feedback I thought was really interesting, and every time she had like a point to make, it was a really valid point. I thought.
I agree. And when we got there and I first met her, we were walking around a little bit just to check out the theater. Mm-hmm. And then one of the first things I said to her is, I feel like a fraud. And she said, me too. I was like, what? You're in 2 bands. You're a performer. Like, you sing, you play instruments. This makes way more sense for you. I just like music. And I have a radio show and I have a podcast, but like you were just saying, I can't critique the talent, or I don't feel like I can, because I can't sing, I can't play an instrument. Like, I just have a passion for music.
But here's the thing. You're a consumer, you're a listener, you're a lover. All sides are good sides. But I think generally critiquing somebody else's art is like maybe the hardest thing to do, because it's like, it's a fingerprint. Like it's them putting their insides outside. Like it's very hard, because I'm never going to tell you that you're doing something wrong, like,
right.
It's always the right thing, regardless of what the output is. Like, any form of art is a great thing.
Totally. And it was not like, let's just be clear. It was not critiquing very much. Like, it was the goal of the day was to like have fun, give some good feedback, give some maybe critical, or encouraging feedback when we could see something like an area to improve upon. But it was certainly not negative in any way. Like,
It was
just
trying
to be helpful.
Yeah, a huge celebration of live music for 9 hours.
Yeah. Well, we were there for 9 hours.
Yeah. So the show, I have the lineup here. The show started they kicked it off. They kind of introed the event at 1:30. So that was, when Sarah Burns, who was the producer of the show, shout out to Sarah. She's such a badass boss woman.
Yeah, she crushed it. She's never done anything like this.
She crushed
before,
it
too, which is even so much more impressive. Like, she is a live music lover through and through, like maybe more than anybody that I know.
Yeah.
Like, maybe more than each of us, but
Yeah.
she has never produced something like this. So the fact that she just had this idea and wanted to celebrate local talent, and the fact that everything went so well is so impressive, and such a credit to her and her team and all the other people that helped along the way. Of course, it wasn't just her, but she spearheaded it.
Yeah, the thing that I took away from it, and maybe I'm thinking about this right, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but I feel like I might have the I don't know, finger on the nose, is that because she didn't know and she hadn't done it before, she leaned on all the smartest people around her, and all of those smart people who are like, well, technically aligned or stage aligned or whatever it may be. They all rallied around her, and everybody took their piece of the puzzle, their job, so seriously to make sure that this thing went off without a hiccup. There wasn't a damn hiccup.
No, I mean, yeah.
No, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But there was only there was
a plumbing issue, but that you can't control that.
You cannot control that. That goes against no one. But it was so good. Okay, so it started off with a band called the Cool Cats, which was a 10-piece jazz ensemble. Each band had the opportunity to play for 15 minutes, and then the changeover was 15 minutes, and that's when we gave our feedback, we meaning the judges, including the Emo Hour girls, and then it went on to the next band. So most bands played 3 songs. There's a couple people that were able to sneak in a little bit more.
Right.
So the Cool Cats, they were so awesome. It was a combination of both students and teachers, and they all had coordinating outfits and whatnot, and you could tell they put so
choreography.
Yes.
There was 2 singers that they had a lot of choreography, and then other instrumental players had a little bit of choreography here and there. But yeah, students and teachers, meaning there was like young teenage kids or maybe even younger in the band that were, playing their instruments. And when I heard jazz ensemble, I was Jaws. When I heard Jaws, I was concerned because I was like, I don't know what's good jazz and what's bad jazz. But they didn't really play like jazz in the way that I typically think of it. Like, they played some hits.
Yeah, they played some hits. They were a cover band, but and that's hard too, because some people did covers, some people did originals, and we had kind of 5 judging criteria buckets that we had to give feedback. And so people who did all covers, they just didn't have the same, there needed to be some originality. So if they did covers, they really needed to interpret it to kind of have it be their own version of the song.
Right.
But it was the coolest thing to start off Battle of the Bands with a 10-piece jazz ensemble. Like, all the brass was so good.
And they brought such great energy to start the day too. Like, if they started at 2:00 in the afternoon, and they just brought it, and I was like, this is great. It was so great. It was so fun. And Yeah, the coordinated outfits, like they put on a show, and it was a
Yeah.
great show. Like that was such a great start to the day.
Yeah. I feel like we might have to go through these faster because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 14. And then Dump Rules, which I will. Oh, no, no, sorry. We missed over. So Side Hustle was next.
Oh, and Side Hustle was so good. They played, I think, all covers, and
think
they're
so.
just like a local group. And Side Hustle is such a great name too. That's a great band name, I
I
think.
agree.
But they had a lead singer whose name is Hannah, and she, as you said, has pipes for days. But they were all just great musicians, like just very well practiced, very like they knew what they were doing. Like they were professionals,
I feel
and
like
they sounded great.
everybody in the lineup, they took it seriously.
Yeah.
Everybody was in it to win it. No
Yeah.
question.
And they had a good look about them too. Like they didn't have matching outfits or anything, but like they just the vibe was good, and like the look, I thought they complemented each other well. Like it all just kind of matched. Like it was great.
Yeah. And oh, I should also mention, I was judging in my persona, which my persona in the emo hour girls is I go more goth than anything
Yeah.
because I love it and it makes me happy, and I'm gonna do it. So if we're the emo hour girls and we're hosting emo night, whether it's in Boise or it's here or it's Battle of the Bands or whatever we're doing, I'm gonna be in goth makeup. And
Yeah.
so all of these people met me as goth Nani, not Nani.
Which also means you were in goth makeup for like 9 hours.
Not gonna lie. And obviously, like, you know me, I don't wear that much makeup normally. So it's just,
Yeah.
it's a vast difference. So then the next band was a local band called Dump Rules. It was a two-piece, kind of think like 21 Pilots energy. They were,
Yeah.
yeah, they were
that.
like grungy rock. It sounded like when the singer's voice opened up, it sounded like Future Islands to me. Which
Okay.
did you ever listen to Future Islands?
No, I did not.
Really unique voice, like, and yeah. So, well, I'm gonna have to play you the song that I'm thinking of in particular.
His voice though, yeah, it was captivating. I think all of us on the judges panel, as soon as he started singing, we're like, whoa. Like
Yeah.
none of us were expecting that.
No way did I think that was coming out of his mouth.
How I enjoyed them so much. Also, their name is Dump Rules, and like you just know that they have humor behind them when
Yeah.
that's the name.
Hold on, I'm gonna read your tagline that you loved so much. It
Yeah,
is,
in their bio.
it's been said and it's true. Every band name is either stupid or really stupid. Dump Rules is both.
Which is so great.
Uh,
And their humor just came through so much.
Yeah.
Like I think it was after the first song, the drummer C. Gordon, who you know better than I do.
yeah.
But he just was like, "Anybody been to the dump lately?" And then was like, "I've been to a lot of dumps, and this one here is pretty nice." Just
Well, he has his own landscaping business. So he has like he has a huge landscaping business.
I didn't
Like
know
all,
that.
yeah, I mean he kills it. He's a very sought after it's called Gordon's Gardens. And he has a very, very sought after
Okay.
business. And so I'm sure he's going to the dump actually more
A
frequently than
lot.
we
Yeah,
realize.
makes way more sense now.
Oh
And
my
then
god.
like Scott, the lead guy too, when he was introing either the second song or the third song, he just said, "Here's another song." And I was loving it so much. I was
Yeah.
like, these guys are like, it's such dry, stupid humor, and they just like played it off so perfectly. And then I think at the very end of their set, C. Gordon, the drummer, again was like, "See you at the dump."
It's so good. And then my critique of the band is where things got weird.
Yeah. Do you want to tell that, or do you want me to?
I mean, I maybe blacked out because people started laughing. So you might remember it differently than me, but I'll try my best and then you can give your own version of it. But the lead singer, what's his name?
Scott.
Scott. So
Yeah.
he was like looking down the whole time, very mysterious, very broody, very like just, like in himself.
In his own
you
little
could tell.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like nervous. And so he was giving off this kind of like mysterious, angsty singer vibe.
Sure.
To which I'm like, yeah, I'm captivated. Like, it's like the mysterious singer vibe. And so that's what I said. I was like, some judges were like, we wish you would have like been more in it with the audience and whatnot. And I'm like, not for me. Like, I actually loved that you were like, I felt like I was right there in it with you in this little like bubble. And so I told him that I was into his like mysterious, did I say sexy? I hope I didn't.
I don't think you did. No.
And because I use the word sexy a lot in general, but I don't mean it in the same way. But I was like very much into this like mysterious lead singer, vibe that you have going on. And then I think I said like, all you had to do is just give us a couple like glances and it would have done it for me.
Yeah. And that's when everybody just started laughing.
Which doesn't mean it, but like, whatever. Who cares?
Well, it did come across very flirty and sexual.
I'm single. Leave me alone. I can be
It's
flirty
fine.
and sexual.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
I know.
But yeah, everybody lost it because
Yeah.
I mean that's how I remember it too. You were just like,
mean,
I was really into it. I was feeling it, and if you would have just looked up a couple times, it would have done it for me.
I'm just flirting from
I don't
like
think
30
that was your
rows away.
intention.
It's fine. Yeah, or like 20 rows away. I'm just,
Yeah, none of the performers could see us when we were giving comments because we were in the back row by the sound guy. So
yeah, they had all of them had spotlights on them. So
yeah,
really
there's
see
no way they
anything.
could see us, but the audience loved it.
I'm crying over here, by the way. Like my eyes
yeah.
are fully watering. That's amazing.
Oh, but it was so good. And I think that they have not really performed as a band. I think they just kind of jammed together. So
Right.
I think that was probably uncomfortable for him, to be in front of an audience. And I think that's probably a lot of why he was doing the like looking down at his guitar a lot and just kind of in his own little world.
Right.
But I agree. I mean, I think that can work. It just depends. So, he, that it was very like grungy, and that's how like some performers are, and that is appreciated. That can be appreciated as is.
Yeah. And I think, it's we loved them specifically. Just I think the type of music was aligned to the type of stuff that we tend to like. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they were so good.
And they played all originals.
All originals.
Which was great.
Yep. All originals.
That was the first one of the day that played all originals.
Yeah. So then the next band was System in Chains, which you loved.
I okay. You love telling me what I love. System in Chains was a cover band playing System of a Down and Alice in Chains songs, and they were very much like middle-aged dad garage band, which was great. And they played one Alice in Chains song, two System of a Down songs. And they just were rocking out, and they were also working that day, like as individuals. They were part of like the stage crew or sound crew or whatever. So they were just in very plain clothes and middle-aged dudes. And the drummer was rocking out and had a little headpiece set on. And he was doing some of like the weirder parts from the System of a Down song, but just like crushing it, I thought. So
the headpiece on the drummer is what did it for me. It was so good.
Yeah, but I mean they were great. I enjoyed them. They're not perfect musicians, but they were so comfortable with the songs and comfortable with each other, and they're just like, we're just here to like rock out, and it was great.
Yeah. For me it was the drummer. It was so good.
Yeah.
And then after that was Jukebox Widowmakers. Okay, so again, like every single one of these bands were so good. So I thought they were awesome. It wasn't like necessarily my personal style of music, but I kind of like all music. So but they killed it.
Yeah, they were good. They were good. Like I have no complaints. I just think it wasn't necessarily our palette.
Yeah.
But I think they were like good artists and good musicians.
Yeah.
Just maybe not for us
so
much.
But their bio, I do like their bio because it was the shortest in this program. It says, "We are kick-ass rock." And wait, That's a horrible. Let me start again. We are kick-ass rock. No, it says we are a kick-ass rock and roll band and have a great time performing live, which I would agree that they had a great time performing live, and they were really good. I just think it was, System in Chains did it for me a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe it was the song choice. I don't know. Like when we gave feedback, I was just like, you guys have all the elements. Like you're good musicians.
Yep.
The voice was good. The harmonies are good. It's just like, it's just not for us. It's just not, we're not the demographic, I guess.
Yeah, we're not your demo. I love that I'm like slowly sinking into this chair that I'm sitting in. It's so comfy. And then after that is Moonshine Schubert.
Your fave.
Yeah.
So you should definitely talk about this one.
Okay, not a problem. I could talk about it. So we belong to a health club here that we go to in the summertime, and he's a trainer there, the singer. He is Moonshine Schubert though, right? It's not the band. He is that Moonshine.
Well, I don't know. I mean, his name is Charlie. Like Moonshine's not actually his name.
I should look at his bio.
And he's performed solo as Moonshine Schubert. Like that's when he performs solo. When we've seen him, that's what's on the bill.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? This is actually such a great thing. It says that they take you on a journey from beautiful beaches to mountaintops across the Rocky Mountains while radiating positivity and sunshine. That is how I feel when I listen to this music.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love that.
But he is, there's electronic elements. They had the best intro of the entire Battle of the Bands, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
I think you or Molly said it was a very sexy intro. And it was.
The whole
I don't know which one of you said it.
Yeah, probably me because I use that word too much. But it was a very well curated set, and it was the first time I had ever seen him in a live band setting. Like it wasn't just him. That was both
Same
of us.
Here.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so it's kind of like, how would I explain his music? Reggae meets rap meets kind of like ethereal electronic elements.
Very vibey.
It's vibey as hell.
Yeah.
Like the vibiest.
Very vibey.
So I loved it. They were fourth place for me in the grand scheme of things, which is hard because I love them so much that I thought I was going to come in and be like, number one.
They should win. Yeah. No, I mean, but they did such a great job.
Such a great job.
They did a cover of Linkin Park's Bleed It Out, but totally deconstructed it. That's the word you use, which is a great word. And I personally love covers that are switched to a different genre. I just find that so incredibly interesting. And they were like halfway through the song maybe, and I looked over at you and I was like, what song is this? Because I knew the song.
Yeah.
I just could not figure out what it was.
Yeah.
And you immediately were like, Linkin Park. And I was like, awesome.
I'm a music nerd, but
yeah. And the other judges didn't know. I mean, I don't know if they're Linkin Park fans, but none of the other judges knew that it was a cover. Only you and I knew that. Yeah.
Well, they're not emo girls, so
they're not emo. Well, Linkin Park's not really emo either.
Yeah, they're emo adjacent, I would say.
They're under the umbrella.
They're under the emo umbrella. But I totally thank you for mentioning that because I completely forgot about that. And that's what we recognized was when people did covers where they really just made it their own. That's when they got some major points in our book. So I want to go see them again.
I would say that was the best cover that we saw. For me, it's because it was their take on it, right? Which takes more effort and energy and talent, frankly, to do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I want to go see him again as a full band. I would love that.
Yeah, I wonder if I think he used to live in Denver, and maybe he had like a different band in Denver, different backing there. I don't know. But I don't know that I've heard of him performing locally as a band. I think I've only heard of him performing like as him, just solo.
You know what I hope happens, and we're hopefully the boys from the Liberty will listen to this podcast, but I hope that they hire all of these people independently to come play shows, because I
Yeah.
think that every single one of these artists would pull a large crowd. Because, like, again, it was all so good. I hope they
Yeah,
do that.
do two in a night.
Yeah, totally. Like,
Dump rules into Moonshine Schubert, just like we saw.
yeah, that would be epic. I would love that.
I'd go.
I would absolutely go.
Yeah.
The next one was Melissa Gerard, who we met earlier in the day
Hmm.
as we were prepping for our duties as judges.
First solo act of the day.
Yeah, that's hard too when you're the first solo, because
Yeah.
before that it was all bands or Dump Rules, which was a two-piece, but acoustic singer-songwriter vibe.
Mhm.
And she had such a great voice. She had beautiful tone, and when she opened her voice up, she had an awesome voice.
She did. And my comment to her was I felt like she had such a strong stage presence, especially as a solo artist. Like strong voice, strong guitar playing, just strong energy coming from her. She played two cover songs, Brandy Carlisle and Miranda Lambert, and then an original. And the original, she was definitely nervous to
Right.
play. But the original was great. It was so good. And like, hopefully she feels encouraged to, continue writing and continue performing, because I'm not sure if she's ever really performed, at least in front of that many people before.
And that was her first original, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that-
I think so.
Yeah, it was great. Oh, I think that was one of my pieces. I was like, I've heard a lot of first songs, and
Oh, yeah.
and I've heard a lot of like 10th songs, and they're total junk. But
Yeah.
that was great. Like for her first song, again, I was so impressed.
Yeah.
And then after Melissa Gerard was the Heath Owens band.
Who took down the house,
Oh
man.
my God.
They were the only band from out of our county. So they're from Kimberly, Idaho, which is like an hour and a half away from
It's
us.
like near
So
Twin Falls, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's not far. It's a four-piece band of high school boys, or two of them are in high school, two of them are fresh out of high school. So, all teenagers or maybe early 20s, possibly. And I think they defined kind of the alternative genre that I enjoy, which is, a little rock, little emo, little angsty, little country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they brought. And
They brought it, dude.
they brought it. Yeah. They
It was
did.
wild. The drummer.
Oh my God. He was so good. Like, I just kept, like, he's in the back. It's a four-piece band, but I just he kept getting my attention just because he would like stand up and he'd like wave his drumsticks in the air, and he was just like really going with the crowd interaction, and he was rocking out. Like, it was so good. So good. And they played two originals or three, I think three, and then kind of went into a cover
Uh-huh.
of Zombie by the Cranberries. Right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. But Zombie also has been covered by, oh my gosh, what's the rock band that covers Zombie? that I'm
Yeah,
thinking
I
of?
can't remember who it is, but the Cranberries have been getting a lot of love lately with covers. And that's a few different pieces of the feedback that I gave them is, well, one, Travis Barker would be proud of the drummer because he was so good. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't say this to them in person or on the mic, but like stylistically speaking, when you look at them, you know what kind of music they're going to play. And there's something to be said about that, because it's like, oh, like I know that I'm about to see something that's harder. It's definitely going to be country. It's just like it made so much sense both visually and musically. So
Right.
so that was so good, and the amount of energy and the crowd work, and how like they knew what they were high school students. Like, I
Mhm.
have my friends who were in bands in high school, like such a different, like they have such a big career ahead of them. Like,
Yes.
it was so cool. It was so cool
Yeah.
to see.
And they've only been a band for a year and a half.
Which is dumb. Like, how is
So
that
dumb.
possible?
Which I loved. Mark on our judges panel commented and said, "You guys make me want to quit music," because he's like in his 30s, I think, and has been, in bands probably most of his life, and is just like, shit, these guys are so good.
Yeah.
Like if they're this good when they're this young, and they just had a great stage presence. And the two guitar players and singer walked off the stage kind of at the end of their last original as they were transitioning into Zombie, and they went into the crowd, right? I think you could see that better than I could.
Yep. Yeah, they kind of made it seem like they walked off stage and that they were done, and then they popped up right in the pit with the crowd and
Yeah.
walked through the crowd and then walked back up on stage and then went into Zombie.
Yeah,
Um
and as they got back on stage, the three of those guys had taken their hats off. I don't know. I mean, I commented about that. I don't really know if you had noticed that, but they were all three wearing hats, and then they came back with their hats off, and they all have long hair. So that was just like to headbang a little bit and show
Yeah.
the flow.
I mean, you got to take the hat off to headbang.
Yeah.
Um and
And
then go
they
ahead.
had such a great move where at their last song they were like, let's, we do this at every show. They're like, everybody please get up and come dance, and it got the whole room going. So they were awesome. That's who won the Audience Choice Award.
No
And I
surprise.
agree, they have a bright future ahead of them.
I was so
I
proud of
also just
myself.
have to
I was gonna say I was so proud of myself because when I was giving him feedback, I was like, "You guys remind me of like a heavier Muscadine bloodline." And then
yeah.
I read their bio later, and they called out Muscadine bloodline.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Which,
Love it.
if you don't listen to Muscadine bloodline, you should because they're so good. And we
And
got to see them at Highway 30 last year.
yeah, and their trajectory is going upwards as well with this tour with Post Malone.
Straight
So
up, yeah, they're
they're
done
doing
with the
great.
F1 Trillion tour, but that
Oh, okay.
that was huge for them.
I just want to say the zombie cover that I was thinking of that's more like rock and metal-y is by Bad Wolves.
Oh,
Which that's the cover that I'm very familiar with, and that's probably like Heath Owens' band played that style of a cover.
yeah, and it's also awesome when a band knows the cover that they should do. Like it was the right decision for, like we knew they were like I think they knew that they were going to do a good job of it. The only thing which was my critique was I wish he would have been a little more like guttural or growly with
Yeah,
kind of the hook of that song.
right.
And then after Heath Owens was Georgia Blue.
12-year-old solo singer songwriter, just with all the confidence in the world, like blew us away with her confidence. And she started out with like a little skit that was so cute where she walked on stage with a little robe and like a sleep mask on her head, and basically just was like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this, and then took off her robe and was wearing like this really cute sparkly dress.
She's like in sequins, like fully decked out.
Yeah.
And she did a great job. She did an original and she did some covers, and one of her covers was No Doubt, which of course the emo girls love, because like who doesn't love No Doubt?
Bathwater. Right.
And oh yeah, Bathwater, which
Mm-hmm.
was great. And it's going to be exciting to see what she does because she's 12. Like
Yeah.
what? How do you even know how to play guitar at 12?
I
Wild.
know. I mean, yeah, my advice to her was just like keep writing, keep practicing, but like your confidence is off the charts, and keep getting in front of people, and you're gonna hone it in. Like she's got a very promising future ahead of her as well. I
Yeah.
think.
Agreed.
Like
And
she
then-
was
oh.
great, so impressive.
And then after that was Doghouse, spelled Haus. Haas.
Doghaus.
Doghaus.
Which I tried to find them on Instagram, and all I could find was like a Chicago hot dog eatery. So
Oh, really? Yeah. That makes sense though. It would be a hot dog joint. And
Yeah.
Doghaus. Should we call it Doghaus?
Doghaus.
Doghaus. Doghaus was a band comprised of one of our local celebrities, Dr. Archie.
Yeah.
Who knew that Dr. Archie was such a musician? And so that was really fun to see him play guitar and whatnot. But they were great. Again, like that style of music, not totally my thing, but they were
Yeah.
awesome.
They were great. Yeah, great musicians. Like they were having
Individually.
fun on stage.
Oh, yeah.
And I agree. Like not really, we're not really the demo there, but like the talent was great.
Yeah. Agreed. And then after that was Up a Creek, which was a recently reformed. So it was a long time band in this valley. They, I think,
Mhm.
probably broke up and then they reformed. And we later
Yeah.
learned it was because of their kids. All of their kids, it was all these dads and their kids were like, "Why aren't you guys playing anymore? That's
Yeah.
silly." And so it was their first show back as a unit, as Up
Right.
a Creek, and all their fans are called like Creek Heads, I think.
I don't remember.
Kept being like,
That sounds
"Yeah,
great.
Creek Heads." I'm like, "Wait, this is a
Yeah.
thing?" Um, and they, oh my God, the lead singer reminded me of Dave Matthews. Like the body
Yeah.
language was for sure Dave Matthews.
Yeah. And that was our Judge's Choice Award.
It
That's
was.
who we gave it to, which when we did that or when we were scoring them, I didn't realize they were recently back together and that was their first show back together, which makes it so much cooler, I
Yeah.
think, and so much more special that like that's who we chose independently. Like that's who we rated the highest.
Yeah.
Um was Up a Creek and it was their first show back. But it was, you said it was boot stomping fun. Like it was bluegrassy. It was so fun. Like they really just the song, all originals they played, I think.
Yep.
Um and they just like they played so well off of each other. They were having a good time. So everybody in the room was having a good time. They did some like really interesting kind of like old-timey bluegrassy things, but they did it so well. Like I just had a smile on my face the entire time.
Yeah.
Like it was just so fun. It was so fun. And that's what all of us said.
Well,
Like it
and
was
that's
so
what
fun.
that's how you win, right? Like fantastic music, you've got the crowd engaged, the energy is high, like the energy on stage and the energy in the crowd is mirrored. And when it's that kind of palpable like feeling, of course
Mhm.
you're gonna win. You know what I mean? Like they were
Yeah.
so good and super, super talented.
And I think they were so stoked to win. Like
Yeah.
they seemed shocked.
Yeah.
I thought like when they came up on stage at the end of the day, I thought they seemed shocked.
Yeah. And then that's when they said the story about their kids, reuniting
Mhm.
them and teared up and we all teared up. It was a very cute moment.
Mark said, yeah, Mark on the judges panel said that he like literally cried when
Oh,
watching them. And that was because he's familiar with them when they were performing before. And he's like, I forgot how much I miss these guys. But that was really special.
that's so cool. And then after Up a Creek was Work in Progress, which was a husband-wife duo, Julie, who
Mhm.
I know Julie from other parts of life, but they were kind of an acoustic duo, and their voices were just it's like
So
two
complimentary.
hands and a handshake. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just perfectly accompany each other. That's what you just said,
Yeah.
right?
Complimentary is
Yeah.
what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, like neither of them were overpowering. Neither of them, like stole the show. They just like they played a set that was just so beautifully together. And I think my feedback to them was it's so awesome to watch two musicians who are in love because it
Hmm.
just comes through and like watching them and listening to them on stage, you could just like see the love between them and how much they enjoy music. So that was also super cool.
Yeah, and my feedback to them was basically it just felt so peaceful.
Mhm.
And I told them, I was like, I just felt like I was camping and sitting around a campfire and you guys were just playing music for me. And then I even was like, can we make that happen? That would be great.
Uh, and then after that, it was Honky Tonk Sue, which you and I have both seen her a few times.
Yeah, I've seen her
She's-
once or twice. I think you've seen her more.
yeah, I think so. Solo performer. She's from Alaska originally,
Oh, I
and
didn't know that.
you know what I liked about her is that so she's a very, very specific, distinct type of music. And
Hmm.
I love that her name tells you what you're going to listen to also.
Right.
And what she did do that was nice is she had oh my gosh, a tambourine on her foot.
Hmm.
And so as a solo performer, she still had some other elements that I thought were nice. It kind of made her stand out a little bit, but her voice is one of a
She's got a
kind.
great voice. Yeah,
Yep.
really interesting. And I loved her songwriting and humor. Like she really got the crowd going when she did kind of a satire cover of Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys, which she turned into Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Ski Bums.
Brought
And,
the house down with that one.
brought the house down. Everybody was laughing. Everybody was singing along. So that was great. And the other originals that she played were, she's a great songwriter. Like, it's funny. And I can really appreciate that, especially in like that honky tonk style, which is not necessarily like a popular form of music nowadays, but that's a great way to get people intrigued, I think, is, with comedy.
Yeah, it was like old-timey country meets Americana is maybe the way that I would explain it a little bit. And her voice is it's kind of iconic, actually. Like it's so it's also just so clear and crisp. And because of that, she has the ability to do the storytelling through her lyrics, like you were saying, that like she can take it funny, she can take it emotional, she can take it kind of however she wants. She decided to take it funnier in this show. And it worked. Like, it totally worked. So that was awesome. And then after Honky Tonk Sue was Sequestrado, which
closing out the night.
I loved them. That was unexpected for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Loved it. People like pretty much started like dry humping on the dance floor because it was such a vibe. It was kind of this like Latin, it was like flamenco guitar. And maybe it's not flamenco. What style is that? But it was, no, I think, like it was flamenco style guitar playing. And it felt like one of my pieces of feedback is that they transformed a theater in Idaho into like a club in Miami or Cuba or something like that. It just completely transported us. And everybody, like, for the people that were in their seats, they got up and they got it. I should say the couples. For the couples that were sitting down, they got up and they went and danced, and it was a vibe, man.
It was. Yeah. I mean, we all felt transported. Like, I said that, and Mark agreed. Like, he said he felt transported. What Mark said actually was that he felt like he was transported to Cuba, sitting in a chair, smoking a cigar, watching people hook up.
I don't not wrong, dude. Like, that was
I don't think he meant to say that he felt like he was watching
at the end. He literally said somebody's getting lucky tonight.
Yeah, I think he did, or James might have said that too. That like, I think you guys are helping some people get laid tonight.
I just was like, oh my god, I'm dying a little bit. But it was the end of the night.
It's very sensual music. And, what I said to the drummer when we talked to him after, or the percussionist, maybe I should say,
which was also, it was a lot of so the band members of this were all in other band where we had seen them in other bands, except for the guitar player. And the guitar player is really what made this band so special. But in the other bands, they all did really well. But in this band, in my opinion, this was like their magic sauce. Like that. Yeah. This is where they belong. They were so good.
So good. Yeah. They were. And I told the percussionist, again, that was the Dr. Archie, that was some of the best dance moves that we saw from the crowd. Like,
oh yeah,
people were up there like really dancing.
Yeah.
And it was great. And we gave Sequestrado an honorable mention, I guess, when we were on stage. It was just so third-ish, but they deserve to win too. It was just, there was so much competition. It was just so good, but they were such a solid end to the night. And I know that they perform locally, at least here and there. So we're definitely going to have to go check them out next time.
No question.
And a couple of the guys in Sequestrado also played in Up a Creek. So, they're favorites now of mine, and I can't wait to see both of them. I hope Up a Creek is performing somewhere soon. And, they won the studio time in Boise. So I hope that they actually use it and record a couple songs. And
they said that they were stoked.
Great.
So good. I think they will.
Yeah. But it was such a great end to the night. Like, I was blown away. I really was. Like,
I didn't know we had that much talent here. I knew we had a great local music scene. I didn't know how diverse it was. I thought it was a little bit more linear than it actually is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, going from jazz ensemble to grunge to solo honky tonk to bluegrass to like Cuban
It's like a Latin fusion
Latin
sound.
flair music. Like that's crazy.
It's
Like
so
that's
good.
so cool. That's
So good.
so cool. So first of many, hopefully, Battle of the Bands,
Yeah,
and
it was
maybe we'll be
hugely
invited back next year to
I know,
judge as
right?
well.
Well, it was hugely successful. So I mean, the
So
house was
successful.
packed the whole day.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they're not going to do it again because it was a huge success. Here, I
Yeah.
brought this just to bring you some memories.
Yeah.
Our little judge backstage pass. They did everything right, and they even
Yeah.
put the list of people performing,
Yeah.
you know,
Which was
on
great.
there, which was nice
No,
because it helped
you
us kind
nailed
of
it.
keep track. Yeah. Another big shout out to Sarah Burns for bringing the house down.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have to share this episode with her. I'm sure. Well, and everybody, all the
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah,
Hopefully
you
they'll
know what I was
listen.
thinking is we should we'll tag or not tag, but we'll list all of the bands chronologically that we talked about here in the bio of this episode so that you can, if you're curious about any of the styles of music that we talked about or any of the bands that we talked about, you can go see it there, and then we'll tag them in our posts on social media.
I will say not all of them have Instagrams or, music that you can find online because they are very
Some of them are brand
new
new.
or
Yeah.
or whatever. But for the ones that do have social media, we'll definitely tag them, and maybe we'll have some guests from some of those bands in the future.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, what else? Is it time for us to get into our emo lyric of the day?
I think it is.
Which, as I say it out loud, I'm like, wait, I really should have chosen a different emo lyric of the day. But you know what? I'm gonna be emo and stick to it.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to? I have a short one, and I'm not sure that you do.
Mine's longer. Should I go first?
I think you should go first.
Okay. So mine is from Bring Me the Horizon because I just love that band so much. So much. They're just so good. And the reason I chose this is I don't know, maybe I'm just like being a little extra emo, but these lyrics I think ring true to maybe a lot of people, maybe not so like deeply, but it's just we've talked about these lyrics before, and it's it's 4 lines. It's 4
I know where you're
lines.
going with this.
Yeah, it's 4 lines, and it's so great. I think it's very emo, but also it's like emotional, but it's like emo. So I don't know exactly, but I'm talking about it too much, so I'm just gonna read it. So it goes, I'm scared to. Oh wait, this is from their song "Can You Feel My Heart" by Bring Me the Horizon. It says, I'm scared to get close, and I hate being alone. I long for that feeling to not feel at all. The higher I get, the lower I'll sink. I can't drown my demons. They know how to swim.
I
If
mean,
that isn't lyricism, I don't know what is.
I was gonna say bravo. Like, yeah, I'll accept it. I'll accept a long lyric for emo lyric of the day for that because it's incredible. It is.
It's so good.
Such good lyrics. That's such a great song. I don't really know if I knew it before you started playing it for me, but now I think I know it by heart. So, but it is. I mean, those are great lyrics, and I did post on our Instagram a meme of that a while ago that was like the 4 greatest bridges in the United States history or something, and it's like the Golden Gate Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge, or maybe it was the Brooklyn. I don't know. Whatever. It was 3 pictures of actual bridges,
Like iconic bridges. The Tower Bridge.
Then it was actually just like those lyrics in the 4th square. Like, the most iconic bridges.
It's so good. It's so good. And I think I don't know, I think a lot of people identify it, and I identify with it. And I don't know if it was that song or a different song, but on TikTok during COVID, I think specifically, a few of their songs just like blew up because I think people were at home and just listening maybe to more music, and they were posting about stuff. But their music just, they relate to their fans so much. I think because of, well, great music, but also like lyrically, it's so smart. So
Yeah, it is.
I love that lyric. What's yours?
Well, maybe you'll win today, but I feel like I have a pretty good one. So since Moonshine Schubert played that Linkin Park cover, I looked at those lyrics first, but I didn't really like any of them. Frankly, there's a lot of them that are pretty like triggering in that song.
Ooh.
So I was like, yeah, let's do a different one. So I did choose a Linkin Park song, and I chose The Emptiness Machine, which was their first single off of their new record, which was just released on Friday. So I felt like it was pretty timely.
Very timely.
The Emptiness Machine is such a great song. I actually haven't listened to the entire record yet. I've only listened to the singles that have been released. And The Emptiness Machine is the best one that I've heard so far, but the other ones are also great.
I haven't listened to the record at all either. I do feel a little guilty about that.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I've heard the singles, so I've heard 3 or 4 songs maybe, but I haven't listened to the whole thing. But The Emptiness Machine is a total banger. So the lyric is, I let you cut. Hold on, let me start over.
We both had a hard time reading things today.
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
I let you cut me open just to watch me bleed. It's a good one.
I mean, honestly, I feel like they're both kind of talking about the same, like both of our lyrics relate to the same thing of just like opening yourself up, right? Opening yourself up to another human. But theirs is like, I'm scared to get close, but I hate being alone. It's like the idea of opening yourself up to another. What is it? You cut me open and I bleed or something?
I let you cut me open just to watch me bleed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way I take it. It's all about emotional vulnerability.
Yeah, it is. I mean, most emo lyrics are, I think. So
you won again.
Who won today? Nani?
You did.
Really?
Of course you did. You
No,
always.
I was gonna give it to you.
You were?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm the judge. You still win, but thank you for my honorable mention, because your lyrics of the day are just so like, I don't know if this is the right word, but like succinct or yeah. It's just you always get to the point of it, and they're always so damn emo that like there's no way I can win. I won on the radio show the other day, but that's mostly because I just had decided that I was gonna win. I just needed to win one.
I think on the radio show, Alex actually won that one, but you gave it to yourself, so that's fine.
I'm the only judge here. I won that one. I never win.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. So that was, 5B Battle of the Bands.
Yeah.
And
a great weekend.
4. Weekend.
A really great weekend. And I have a lot of gratitude for Sarah and for everybody who had their hand in making that Battle of the Bands happen, and gratitude for you and sitting alongside you, and even if we were a little bit hungover in the beginning of the day, we powered through. Did that thing.
Nobody needs to know that. But they do. Now they do.
Now they do, And no, we showed up. We're professionals. We're okay if we're just a little,
Yeah, well, now I feel like we should clarify that, like, we're not, the only reason that we were hungover is because it was emo night the night before. So, like, we had to do both of those things.
We had no choice. We had no choice. It's not like we were just being, reckless, and we showed up and we did great. We
But
had duties.
It is because it was emo night the night before, and we couldn't say no to that.
We have duties, and we show up for our duties, and we do our best.
Yes.
That's all I can say. You're a professional. We're professionals, Katie.
We are. We're pros.
But yeah, deep gratitude to everybody who did it, and to you as well, Katie, because I think that was a really fun weekend.
It was. I think it's going to happen next year. So there was some mention about doing it like every 6 months, and Sarah, I think, was like, no.
It takes away the like luster of it. You can't do it more than once a year, because then it's like, annual, like I won Battle of the Bands. So
right. Yeah. So probably, hopefully a year from now, we'll be doing another episode on it.
I know, right?
As judges again.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
One can only hope.
One can hope. Well, I'm sad that I'm not sitting with you again, but it's been wonderful doing this podcast today. And all I have to say, I guess, episode 4 in the books, on the books. What's the saying?
We did it in the books.
In the books. You would know this. You're a lawyer.
I read books. Yep.
Lots of them. Lots and lots of them. Okay, well, tune in next week. Be sure to like and subscribe. And like we said, we will list the bands from 5B Battle of the Bands in the description of this episode, and we'll do our best to tag as many people when we post it on socials. And go listen to local live music wherever you live, because really that's where we find the next Katy Perry, or the next Bring Me the Horizon. Or the next, what's your version?
The next Heath Owens band.
Yeah. It's just, local music is, it's a big deal. So don't just spend your money on the big arena shows. Go listen to local live music.
Yeah. There's a lot of greatness out there.
Yeah.
Just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. Okay, Katie. Well, until next time.
All right. Thanks for listening. Join us next week.
Rock on.
Bye.
Bye.